Vince Onyekwelu joins us this morning. He's a security consultant. Of course, we know how concerning issues of security have been concerning the election. Thanks for joining us this morning, Mr. Onyekwelu. Well, with all that you have heard and all that you have seen and all that's been deployed, so to speak, in Anambra State so far until now, how well would you say we have dealt with the security scare that could mar the process of elections tomorrow?
Being somebody who is actually physically present on ground, I would say that the people of Anambra, whom we refer to as Indi Anambra, obviously as a peace-loving people, people who are well experienced in creation of wealth, Indi Anambra are not naturally involved in violence. They are the kind of people that prefer to spend their time in growing their wealth, in living peacefully with their communities and their people from other parts of Nigeria. So when it comes to this issue of the Anambra 2021 elections, I must be honest to you as a professional that there is this high level of fear in Anambra State. People are living in abject fear. People like me never experienced the Civil War. I was not born then. But obviously, looking at the body language or hearing what people that experience the Civil War are saying, they are trying to relate what's going on in Anambra State to the times of the Civil War. So you hear people trying to go and do last-minute shopping, not knowing if they're going to be allowed to step outside tomorrow or next tomorrow. People are trying to stock at home. People are using language that they claim to have used during the Civil War. So there is this high tension of fear in the minds of the Anambra people. Moreover, the arrival of the security agencies in Anambra, obviously, if you pay attention to details, there has been an influx of security agencies into Anambra, at least for the last 1 month, because it's been, the military has been here, the army, the navy, the air force, they've been physically here for the past 1 month. But in the past 1 week, obviously, there is a new intake that actually arrived 2 weeks ago. These people that arrived 2 weeks ago were now manning the road blocks, the junctions. Even in my father's street, you will see the presence of armed army police officers, not army, armed police officers in junctions close to my ancestral land. So in the past 2 weeks, there's a new influx that arrived to help to secure Anambra because of the fear. And then in the past 5 days, whoa, bro, the level of people that entered Anambra State in the last 5 days, they are on a different atmosphere. They came, you see the kind of police equipment that I've never seen in my life before. So you see police officers carrying cutlasses that are carved in the end, carrying all sorts of sword, all sorts of dagger, all sorts of clubs, all sorts of non-asymmetrical equipment that you expect a police officer on duty to be carrying. And that actually further heightens the tension amongst the people. However, I will say to you that yesterday, it seems that the pronouncement of the indigenous people of Biafra, that elections should go ahead and hold tomorrow, I think that particular pronouncement, in a very big way, helped to calm people down. Because as of yesterday, I even had to go to the local market to shop, because my dear wife is not here with me in Anambra State right now. I had to go and shop, thinking that there's going to be no market in the next 5 working days or 5 days. So the level of tension is very, very heightened in Anambra State. I will tell you, one of the nastiest examples I've had, obviously, as somebody who is experienced in policing, and I'm talking about frontline policing, not policing behind the computers or in the offices, is seeing police officers that just came into Anambra in the past couple of days looking very overzealous. Overzealous in the sense relationship with the people are not high people. Not all of them, but most of them have this toga of we are here for action. You will see officers carrying.
Don't also forget, Mr. Onyekwelu, that the Inspector General of Police had said that, look, the presence of the police in whatever numbers and in whatever guise that you have described is not to scare the people, it's to reassure the people. The only people that should be scared, according to the IG, would be those who want to form in trouble. Isn't that reassuring as well?
Negative. I would say negative. I'm not talking about the IG. The IG has done what is expected of a professional like him, and he's a wonderful gentleman. Rather, I'm referring to the character, the behavior, the frontline attitude of some of the police officers, not all the police officers. One, you will see a police officer who is carrying a dangerous weapon with 2 or 3 magazines joined together, and you see 4 bottles of lager beer in his front, 4 bottles of green bottles of alcoholic drinks in his front. He is carrying this dangerous weapon, and you see 4 or 5 bottles of beer. Some he has consumed, some he's still going to consume. You will see police officers carrying dangerous arms, and you can obviously see that they look intoxicated. They'll be wearing sunshades by 6:30 p.m. in the evening. With that kind of sunshade, they'll be smelling of alcohol. So if you are smelling of alcohol or carrying all these small new school alcoholic drinks, some of them they call ikemba, some of them they call jedi jedi, we know what they do. These drinks are kind of cognacs that are drilled or distilled locally. We know their impact on your senses as a normal human being. So for officers in uniform, understanding
the impact that you are talking about, the fears that this could create and the resultant effects. Have you in any way as a professional been able to find maybe some senior officer that you can report these incidents to so as to rein the men in check?
Yes. Beautiful question. About 3 days ago, I was passing through the Commissioner of Police office in Anambra State, CP Echeng, a wonderful gentleman. And bro, I was stopped by about a dozen police officers. They were just by their cars, gisting. Half of them are dressed in mufti jackets. And they said, hey, come here. And I was like, hello, come back here. They were so rude. You know the next thing? They asked me to open my bag. Basically, in Anambra State, we have a fashion sense. We have this bag that we carry across our shoulder because we believe that our bunch of keys should be in a bag. Our tablet phones should be in that kind of bag. Our other items like power banks should be in that bag to reduce the issue of loss of property. So it's a very fashionable thing in Anambra State. But because these new people don't understand that it's fashion, they grabbed me, asked me to open my bag. I opened my bag peacefully and obediently. When they saw my power bank and my tablet, one of them said, run, he's carrying a bomb. And I said, gentleman, you're embarrassing me. How can you say I'm carrying a bomb? This is a power bank. You know what he said to me? You are rude. He held me on my waist, started to drag me up and down. I said, stop dragging me. If you want to arrest me, these are my wrists, arrest me. I've done nothing wrong to you. He said, you're too bold. The next thing you know what? He put his hand behind his back and pulled his service pistol. I was in the midst of about a dozen police officers and he pulled his service pistol on me. I was worried. I said to him, I'm not a threat to you. I've got no arms. My hands are up. If you want to arrest me, arrest me. You know what he did to me? He dragged me. I said, please take your hands off my waist. If you don't do that, honestly, I'm going to break your shoulders. But I was getting upset then. I said, if you don't take your hands off my waist, I'm going to break your shoulders. I don't care if you're carrying a gun. He now left me, took me to the CP of Commissioner of Police office and asked them to arrest me. And I asked him, what did I do wrong to you? He said I was stupid. He said I was too confident. And they said to me, what have you done? I said, nothing. Open your bag. I opened my bag. They said, Oga, please go. Sorry for the inconvenience. And right there, I made a complaint that this is not the kind of attitude that win people for you. You need to win hearts and minds. It's not about carrying arms or looking aggressive. Win hearts and minds. So there, I made a complaint. The officers, they apologized to me and asked me to leave. The truth is, this is Anambra is the city of Anambra State. If this happened in some local government where you don't have professionals like me that was able to de-escalate such escalating situation, it sends the wrong signals. As I said to you, it's not every police officer, but those few that are doing it are making the general police officers in Anambra to look negative in the eyes of the people. And let me, before I stop, before yesterday, the sounds of gunshots in Anambra State, you will hear police officers that are seated down, drinking, they just raise their gun. It was just scary. Why are you shooting into the sky, close to a general public market? It was only yesterday I heard that an AIG of police head that came into Anambra State heard those sounds of gunshots and banned them from shooting to the skies unnecessarily. And I can assure you that wonderful AIG has done so much work because those sounds of gunshots have reduced. Previously, in the middle of the night, in the daylight, you just hear a woman in my presence along Nibu by Governor's Lodge heard the gunshots. She fell on the floor thinking that her life was in danger. And some people there, some officers were there laughing at him. It was one officer that came to take her up and said, Mama, sorry.
Well, Mr. Ekwelu, you know, the issues that you are raising, the examples, the stories that you're telling is definitely not very encouraging. I mean, it's not likely to encourage or inspire anyone in Anambra State tomorrow to go vote. So in all of these, we still want the elections to hold peacefully, freely, and fairly, and credibly. Now, with all these that you have said and all the preparations that have been made and all the sacrifices and all the people that have come into Anambra to at least try to cooperate with the people to have a free and fair, credible, and safe election, what would be your counsel to who in order for us to have the kind of result that we want after the elections tomorrow?
Thank you for that. I've been physically present in Anambra State for at least 2.5 months. Because this is my dear state I love so much. So I've been physically present here for the past 2.5 months, monitoring situations. I can tell you that by God's grace, we are going to have a peaceful election tomorrow. The people themselves in the Anambra are peaceful people. So it's difficult for you to force people that are peaceful to become aggressive or violent. It's not in them. They prefer to spend their time and the energy in thinking of creative and innovative ways to make their lives better, to make the lives of their family members better. They are too busy with building the structures of their business empires, or trade, or commerce. Now, there are two people that are going to play a role in the state. Let's say three schools of thought. Number one, the state actors. Number two, the non-state actors. And number three, the Anambra. When I talk about the state actors, we are talking about the INEC. We are talking about the security agencies. When I talk about the non-state actors, I'm talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the political parties. And the one I talk about in the Anambra, I'm talking about the people of Anambra. These are the key stakeholders in this election that will make it to be peaceful. Now, for the first group, for the state actors, I think INEC should keep to their words. They should get to the polling units early enough. They should avoid any issue of late starts or any kind of suspicion. They should live up to their
Mr. Ekwelu, you know, the issues that you are raising are quite significant, and I'm just wondering, I mean, what you began by saying, you know, Anambrans are very peace-loving people, and everybody has said that about the very, very peaceful state over the years until recently. So where did this all come from, and how come this is happening? and you've been in the state for 2 months. You know, those issues we may have to raise with you subsequently. But for now, we have NAOB, who is convener Situation Room, and Country Director Action Aid join us in this conversation as well. Good morning, and thanks for joining us, madam, for joining us on this program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right. Well, perhaps you want to begin with a general overview of your own observations and your own assessment of our readiness for the elections tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I've been listening keenly to our brother there. You know, my general observation so far is Anambra State is very calm. The state is quite quiet since a number of us came into Anambra State, working with our civil society organizations on ground. We've had to train observers. The picture you get outside, it's really a daring one. And if you are coming in, everybody is asking you, why are you going to Anambra State? Do you want to go and kill yourself? And so on and so forth. But we've had traveling to Anambra State, there was only one, I can say you see one checkpoint, at least within the connecting states. You see one checkpoint and nobody was harassed. I think it's much calmer, you know, much more calmer than we had envisaged, you know, because looking from outside. But I was in the state a couple of weeks ago, and you know, prior to the crisis that we had on ground, the death of Professor, you know, Dr. Akunyele, you know, and the number of others at that time, you know, was really scary. And indigents and everyone, because of also the IPOP stay at home, you know, a lot of people are very cautious. Not because they don't want to go out, but because everybody wants to protect, you know, their own lives and their properties as well. So they decide to stay at home. It's been quiet. The preparation of INEC is quite high. We've, you know, we have been assured that, you know, materials will get to the destinations, you know, and we've had a couple of meetings with the security apparatus.
Okay, just before you get to the distribution of the materials and the preparations by INEC, how easy or difficult has it been for you or your group to gauge the feelings of the people? Because naturally, anybody will think safety first. So have you been able to find out if their mindset concerning how they intend to participate in the elections?
We have a lot of people who came in, you know, we are training observers. We had observers from the 21, you know, local government areas. They came, you know, we have had the training and refresher trainings, and the feelers are that people are ready to go out. The IPOP renouncement of sit at home also has given a booster to them, because there is a lot of grievances that people have been carrying along. And what we have encouraged them to do, you know, the mobilization is going on. Before, you know, a week or 2 weeks ago, campaigns were not going on. But now you have the campaigns, you know, all over the place. People are coming out more freely and more relaxed. You have a number of police and others on ground, but they have not been harassed in their traveling to Oka. People are not harassed. They are not afraid. You know, of course, being cautious is something because of what has gone before now. And so the general feeling is that, you know, people want to go out. The fear of having so many police officers on ground were there, but we were at the police headquarters yesterday. We had a meeting with the DIG, asking them to also respect human rights. You know, because in all of this, when you hear the fright of having so many police officers on ground, we know what it means even to young people and a whole lot. And that's why we have been campaigning and asking people, you know, to calm down and change the narratives. Like our brother there have said, you know, Anambra people are peace-loving people. So who is the one that is not peace-loving? To be able to track that down is the determination of the citizens themselves. We can change the narratives. Anambra State is known for voter apathy. You know, they have the lowest voting population. The last election, about over 400,000 people voted in a population of 6 million, asking them to change the narrative. So the campaign is beyond, yeah.
What was the highlights or the takeaway, the kind of issues that were discussed when you were going to say the meeting you had with security agencies?
The highlight was the briefing. The DIG gave us a briefing, you know, and is to talk. It was a combined meeting of the media people and civil society organizations. They actually invited us, and we had time to interact with them, to ask them questions about preparations. We saw the massive deployment, and we're also concerned about, we asked them questions on the welfare of the police, because that's one thing, because you need to prepare your staff to be able to engage. We were assured that the police officers, the policemen were fully given their allowances in order to go and perform, you know, which was heartwarming, because the police, you know, when they send the men out, sometimes they find it difficult to move around. And so, you know, most of it is the interaction, and the police also notice that there is a lot of fake news. Even at the civil society level, we see a lot of fake news, a lot of things that are not happening on ground. And when you are in Anambra, you hear the reportage of Anambra, you begin to wonder who they are reporting and what is going on. So I think the general feeling is that people are ready to go and vote if they are sure that they are protected in voting. Under normal circumstances, a voting day is a day that you stay at home, you stay within your environment, and you go and cast your vote. And
so how is this? Yeah. How is this going to play out now, where I think they declared public holiday in the state? The governor declared the public holiday. How are people taking to that in light of the IGP's restriction of vehicular movement? So both of them may appear a little confusing to the average person there.
Yeah, the public holiday, I think the states brought it about in order for people to be able to go and collect their PVCs, you know, because yesterday, you know, today is the deadline, you know, at a particular time, there will be a cutoff time for people to go take their PVCs, and to allow them, enable them to prepare for tomorrow, that there will be no movement. And so, confusing as that might be, ordinarily during elections, you know, so many, you know, people who are within their own environment. The voting is supposed to be within your environment, so it's a sit at home naturally. So people are encouraged. We have done a lot of deployments. We have deployed with many other civil society organizations. We are monitoring, and foreign observers are also in town trying to monitor. And that's why we are really capping on, you know, asking the police and engaging them, urging them to ensure that there's respect for human rights. And all these things will be reported. The police have given us the numbers to call if there is any violation of human rights. And also beautiful behavior by the police, if there is any.
That's you know, definitely reassuring to hear all of that. But we have seen this over the years, that once a number of people continue to have fears of or uncertainties around their safety, I don't know how that will not affect the attitude or not of or none of the voters towards voting. So that only underscores and exemplifies the voter apathy that's been there over the years. That's a major concern for many people, saying, look, over the years we've had a depreciating number of people come out to vote. From what you have seen, all the preparations, all the voter education, all the voter mobilization and all of that, how significantly do you think we may have been able to get to people to encourage them to come out and vote, despite all of these apprehensions in the air?
They're trying. The media has been seriously involved. I want to commend the media for their role in the election as well. There has been a lot of corporate social responsibility. In a number of the media houses, or almost all the media houses, both around and outside, have focused on the Anambra election, getting the views of the people, and also urging them to come out. And I think we're asking the media to keep it up as well. We do believe that because the last presidential election, there was a massive turnout, massive, much more massive than during, governorship election. We're calling on the traditional rulers to mobilize their people to go out, the religious leaders to mobilize their people to go out in order to engage. This is a constitutional responsibility. And if there is any violation, now we are sure we have the numbers for all the people that we have deployed. We do have the police numbers. We have other numbers in terms of INEC, the collaboration. There is a whole network of people around, and we are all collaborating with each other to ensure that for the citizens that want to go out, it's not compulsory to go out, but we mobilize them because they can't change the narrative.
Okay.
The current governor does not have any, is not going in again because he has served his 2 terms. If people don't go out, the choice that you get is what you ask for because of not wanting to engage.
All right, so in terms of voting, we know that logistics usually is a challenge. So from what you've seen, having also seen previous elections, and given this current circumstance now, what can you say about how INEC has deployed materials, how deploying materials on that particular day will be in consideration of logistics on ground?
Logistics in all elections is always a traumatic experience. But they are prepared. They have assured us that they are prepared, and our own is to monitor. We have observers in all the LGAs, observers in different locations. The media, journalists are on ground to cover that, to be able to report. And our own, from the situation room, is for us to ensure that whichever polling unit that people are monitoring, we're able to report to INEC. Those who are not getting materials, those who are getting materials, they have assured us. What INEC, the INEC chairman told us that, for the 86 polling units that have no voting population, they are not going to deploy to that environment, and they have given us the list. We have the list of all the polling, stations, and we hope that people will be able to vote. That the organization of materials, I think there is a booster with the IPOB lifting as well, to give more confidence to the transporters.
Well, just one thing. I mean, I've heard this said twice. The INEC chairman said it, and you have also said the same thing, that there are polling units without voting populations. And I'm just wondering, how is that possible? Was it an abstract creation?
It was, when it is created, it is hoping, it's based on the geopolitics, the geopopulation of the area. And if people from that environment did not register, there was a transfer of polling units as well. So that may be responsible. But if you don't have a polling population, you don't have. And they have been able to identify. The fact that the system was able to identify that, gives us the comfort that something is being detected, and that is the right coverage, assessment.
But it's a creation. The polling units are not. It's a creation of INEC. INEC created it. I mean, at least one would expect that they were created because there was, even if it's just 6 people that were supposed to vote there, anticipating that there's going to be development. It was created by INEC. Definitely not a politician.
I think that will be for INEC to respond to that question. Most because certainly. I didn't create it. But it's good that they identify that, this polling unit has no population. I think that's an improvement as well.
Okay. Well, there's a question on my mind about the political class. So many people have also, continued to point accusing finger at politicians as the ones responsible for some of the insecurity that's been happening there. So one wonders how significantly even the political class and their supporters have been mobilized to ensure that we have the kind of process that we're expecting tomorrow. Yes, the peace accord has been signed, but by the top heads, the people on the ground, the people, their runners and all, they weren't at that meeting, and they were probably... So what do you make of that?
I think for the politicians, watching them signing the peace accord yesterday was quite spacious, and also to have General Abdul Salami and Bishop Hassan Kuka to be able to, really come out and say, this is what is going on in front of him. They had interactions, looking at themselves eye to eye and making their promises. We hope that they will keep to the promises. But it's a leadership direction. Anywhere you're going or whatever the behavior of the people, it has to do with the leadership direction. If they choose to keep to the rules, their followers will keep to the rules. If they don't keep to the rules, Anambra State, the fact is, all of these, persons, the candidates, they are all from Anambra State. There is a governor in waiting. Only one person can win. And if that happens, I believe that everybody will take their own beat, leading to the promises. That's why they are ready for the beautiful pictures. It was a good thing to watch yesterday, and we were all invited by the Kuka Foundation to ensure that we come and witness, what is going on there. And all of them will be held accountable. The promises is what we have.
Let's hope that we can indeed hold them to account, as you have said. But Mr. Nyekwelu, in the same space, that peace accord, as you have listened to Madam talk about it, a number of people are hopeful. How hopeful are you?
You have to understand something about me. Edo election, I was physically on ground. Ondo election, I was physically on ground. Abia, Bauchi, Rivers State. So I've been on this kind of sojourns. So I understand the narrative. Listen to me and listen carefully. INEC, as the state actors, could do better. As I'm talking to you, people are going out to go and look for the PVCs they registered a month ago. Remember, about a month ago, INEC gave Anambra State about 7 days for new people that want to vote to do their registration. That 1 week was unfair in the Anambra. If nobody wants to say it, Vince Onyekwelo will say it. You cannot give this kind of people to encourage them to participate in an election and give them only 1 week for the young people that turn 18 to register, for old people that want to change where they're voting. That 1 week was poorly. Number two, now 2 days to election, with all the fear of insecurity, you're just telling them that, oh, your PVCs are now ready for collection. If you go there, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a wonderful crowd of people. They had all the chance, knowing the dates of Anambra elections, to prepare for this new registration and for the cards, the PVCs to be delivered to the owners. That was poorly. For you to try to encourage more people to vote in Anambra, you should be seen to creatively carry them along. So we keep talking about Anambra has poor voting. It could be even worse in this situation because INEC has failed in that perspective. Number two, there are parts of Anambra that are riverine areas that could be difficult terrains to get into. Let's make sure that we get information from there. The Anambra people themselves, they will come out to vote. Our good people have struck. So obviously, but I'll take care of that. The Anambra people are willing to vote. But we need to understand, we need to say the truth so people can be more prepared to know what to expect practically. Let's not try to do theory without doing practicals. The people of Anambra are willing to vote, but the federal government and the state government needs to provide an enabling environment for them.
Yeah, so Vince, is there any local government where they face that challenge of people not being able to get their permanent voter cards? Do you know of any?
I think it'd be too. Yeah, I will tell you the areas of Obaru, the areas of Anambra will face that kind of challenges. But let's not be faster than my shadow. Let's wait by tomorrow to see if Anambra people and Obaru people were able to have that kind of experiences. So I think let me not be too faster than my shadow. Let me just be patient.
Okay.
But Obaru,
let's bounce that off, Madam Ene. Just hang on a minute. Madam Ene, could you tell us, concerning collection of permanent voter cards, INEC did say that they've delivered them to the local governments and that they said some were being collected. Do you have any information on the contrary that there are lots of people who have not been able to pick up their PVCs as of yet?
Yeah, there was a lot of worry about the PVCs because we kept monitoring INEC, until they were released. There is late release of the PVCs. That's a fact. But people are still collecting, even as at this time. We will say, what Vince is saying is very correct about the kind of multitude that have gone to collect. And I think that's why the state government, in their pronouncements of the, public holiday, allowed them to go and collect. It came in actually late, that's a fact. And we worry for those, but they are still collecting. They are still collecting as at this morning, this morning as I think there's a new day, and we are monitoring them as well. Those are the reservations that we have to take back to INEC.
And then about the BVAS, it's going to be the first time that INEC will be deploying that. And they've said, look, if you don't do the biometric voter accreditation, you will not be able to vote. Do you have any concerns concerning how this will play out? Because some politicians have said, look, it's the first time, we're not too sure about some of these things. What do you think?
The process leading to this election was used in Edo. There are so many other, there are 2 other elections, that it has been used already. The fact is, if you try, because there's so many voters that go in, my thumb printing is not working, and now you have both. It's either you thumb print or your facial recognition will pick it up. So we don't have worries about, though it's a system that is being tested. Anambra is a testing ground. Whatever the comments are from there, because INEC has showed the capacity to continue to improve on the systems that they use. So we are just going to watch it and take the lessons from there. But if people have complaints, let them make the complaints, and we take the complaints and ensure that INEC gets it immediately. If there are people who have not collected their PVCs at the cutoff point today, that is something that we have to take back to to INEC as well, because you cannot do that to people. Then you disenfranchise those we are also, we are asking to come on board. But we do hope that Anambra people will, Anambra citizens will come out.
All right.
Mass. If there are, and also to take in what you're saying and make adjustments. We're happy to do that.
Okay, exactly. Because I was going to ask, this is a replacement of the previous smart card reader and all of that. So the question then would be, what are some of the concerns that you think need to be addressed before we get to it? Because, the concerns about smart card readers was quite loud, if I can use that term. So in terms of observations, what are the things you think we should stay ahead of? So at least to maximize the use of this BVAS?
I think, there are people at the polling units to be able to guide those who have come to vote. The voters, they will guide them. And the world has gone high-tech. And so we are amazed that, all the struggle for electronic transmission of results and all of that. If people believe that their voting will count, I think a lot more people will come out. And so that's why the focus is on Anambra State. And if we get it right here, many more elections will be made easier. And I do know that if we go through, I'm not holding forth for INEC, if we go through, lessons will be learned. They showed that improvement from card readers, the functionality had problems, and they're able to be for. So we hope that, I do believe that this will work, but this is technology. It can also play pranks. If it does, it didn't in the last election, it didn't. So we hope for improvement.
Well, Mr. Nyekwelu, so here we are, it's D-Day tomorrow. And the understanding generally now is we should begin to mobilize people towards ensuring that they come out to vote to select their leaders, irrespective of all of the challenges. Now, one of the things that concerns me is what are your own concerns beyond security? And what would you recommend for INEC or the security agencies or the, whatever relevant authorities should do to get ahead of those things so that we can have the kind of election we want tomorrow?
This is my professional idea. in the minds of Anambra, they have an understanding. And I don't know how they form this understanding. For some reasons, they believe that there is a party at the center, the federal government, that is involved in this election because they have a candidate. In the Anambra majority also believes that even though our dear beloved Governor Obiano is no longer contesting, but his party is contesting and they are in charge in Anambra State. So they have this thing that the peace of this election has a lot to depend on the behaviors of the government in the center with their party and the behavior of the government in Anambra State and their party in comparison to other political parties that are contesting for this election that are neither at the center, in the federal, or in the state, in Anambra State. So this is the message of Anambra, and they are worried that if any of these parties in the center or in the state tries to use any influence to influence this election to their advantage, they will not be happy. So the focus will be for the party in the center and in the state to be very careful, to be sympathetic, knowing that the Anambra wants to vote and they need the basic support to give them the encouragement. And on the side of the INEC, to still have that in mind, that there's a party in the center that is contesting, and there's a party in the state that is contesting, and other political parties are watching carefully to make sure there is no kind of undue advantage to the party in the center, in the federal, or to the party in the state, in Anambra State. Once they have this mindset, by tomorrow, and INEC and the security agencies can create this mindset. They can influence it to make it to happen. Anambra will come out to vote.
Well, Madam, permit me to take you back to the conversation along Bivas. You have also confirmed that a good number of people may not have their PVCs as yet. How significant do you think that might be? Do you think that those who don't have their PVCs can still go there and maybe use their fingerprints and all to confirm that they are credible registered voters?
I think it's too early to have a conclusion on the fact that people will not get their PVC. They have been produced. And so at this point, we will not say that people will not get their PVCs. If you don't have your PVC, you cannot go into the polling unit. That has been, talked about by INEC. We will hold INEC responsible. Definitely will hold them responsible. We don't see that yet. Towards the end of the day, people are monitoring. We will be able to give feedback to INEC. They should not be disenfranchised. But we are still calling on all those who have their PVCs, because this is a state with a population of over 6 million. And you can't wait for, last election, about 400,000 people. It means those who are missing are the ones to choose. Like Vince has pointed out, there are so many power plays. A lot of all the parties are out to capture power in Anambra State. Anambra is unique because it has had one party, which may not be at the federal level, at the national level, but has kept to, working with its own people. There are other people who want to capture that party. If people do not come out en masse, if you don't come to vote, and a few people that the one party mobilizes comes to take up power, what is the implication? And I think that is a triad there that we need to call on the people. If you think ABGA is what everybody in Anambra belongs to, if they don't go out to vote, the other parties are contesting, they are campaigning. And so it depends on the followers that come out to come and vote. And it's not just a massive crowd, but those who have their PVCs as well. So we are encouraging at this point that everybody who is registered, who have their PVC, everybody, we hope that they will all get their PVCs. Go out and turn out en masse, because at the end of the day, this is a very direct one now. If you vote, your voting is being seen. It's going to be graphic. And so if we stay around and say, if either any of the parties, it may be parties that don't have names yet, comes out and mobilize their own population and they go and vote. Then majority in court cases and things like that. But let's not envisage that. I think what we're doing right now, Situation Room is also putting jingles and encouraging people to come out and vote, that people should turn out and vote the leaders of your choice.
But the question that I'm asking, well, the question, madam, is along the line of, what if the voters come out and they do not have their PVCs? You say it's a little too early to say that, but it is a possibility. I mean, just looking at maybe worst case scenario, someone is unable for one reason or the other to get their PVCs. What happens?
That is why what I said, that if they don't get their PVCs, that's something that we are watching and also talking back to INEC on. Okay. But you are not going to just be allowed to go into the voting without the PVCs. But where this is possible, we take back to INEC in which local government, because if you look at INEC website, they are updating on a daily basis of the number of people that have collected their PVC and all of that. So that is happening and the graph is going higher. But if there is anything, our own is, we are not INEC, but we will watch and we tell the truth. We stand for the truth. And we ask for transparency and accountability from INEC, from the police, those who are on ground, from the officers on ground, whoever is responsible. Also from the politicians as well. Because you don't start crying foul. You may have a massive population who have not registered and they say we don't have PVCs. But we have to ensure that those who took the pain to go through registration, they should have their PVCs to
and as you have said, the best thing, what we can only expect is that everyone is on top of their game to ensure that we have the kind of result that we want to have tomorrow. NLB, convener Situation Room, Country Director Action Aid, as well as Vince Onyekwelu, Security Consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and thoughts this morning.